Once upon a time, I stood in front of my open window before the crack of dawn to feel the freshness of the early mist glisten my face. I closed my eyes to savor the rare moments of peace, and in the silence of the quiet that was not quite the morning yet, I posed a singular question into the open air. Have you ever heard of the story about the love of Prince Heuchler? I did not expect a reply, nor did I anticipate getting three.
I am the sun, and I can see all that can be seen under the light of day. I can tell you the story, for it is I who sees the good in everything.
I know the story, and I know that no good can be found there. For I am the moon, and I see all that is hidden under the dark, inky veil of the night sky.
No, the story is not all bad and very little good can be found in it, but it is a story worth telling indeed. I shall tell you the story.
And so, the rock, ever the silent wallflower and always the invisible element in the background, began to whisper in my ear the truth about what had to happen just for the love of Heuchler. During a time that was once upon us, there lived a little boy named Heuchler. But this boy was no ordinary child, for he was the only son of the king and queen of the great empire Hypnocrates. For the young princeling's christening, they made sure to invite each and every honorable guest from all the neighboring kingdoms. The event was so laden in its imperial splendor that even Lailura, the goddess of fairies herself, deigned to grace them with her presence. As a matter of fact, Lailura was so enraptured with the child that she decided to give him the gift of eternal ethereal beauty right then and there. Armed with piercing green eyes, a charming smile, a jaw that could cut through paper, and the kind of physique that seemed to have been molded by those whose hands have touched Eden, Prince Heuchler grew up to be loved and adored by all. By the time he reached the ripe age of 20, over 100 girls, and even more boys, have already offered their hand in marriage to the prince. And yet, despite all the desperate sows genuflecting outside the palace, and even laying down all their possessions just for the chance to marry the prince, Heuchler remained impassive and chose not to wed with anyone. His aging parents, scared and worried that their only son would stay lonely and unwed for eternity, decided that the queen would go and talk to him about their fears for his future.
Heuchler, my dear son, you know that your father and I love you ever so dearly, and of course, we would support any decision that you make, but I hope you understand that we won't be here with you forever. You are a bright and handsome young man. It would only be right for you to marry a wonderful young woman who is just as beautiful as you are, so that you may have someone beside you when the time comes that we can no longer walk this earth.
Mother, please don't say stuff like those. You're worrying me. Plus, the reason why I never married any of the people that come here to propose to me is because I'm well aware of the fact they only want me for my looks. If I were to marry someone, it would only be because they want me for who I truly am, and not just for the way I look.
I only want you to face the truth, my son. Your father and I wouldn't be able to stay here much longer. My hair has now turned silver, and I can feel the quivering of my bones and the shaking of my fingertips. I am old, son, but if that is truly what you want to have in life, then you must journey to the home of the fairies so that you may secure an audience with the fairy goddess Lailura. I am confident that if there's anyone that can help you, then it will surely be her. Go on, my son, and make haste.
And so, with his iron-clad will, Prince Heuchler set off for the enchanted forest where the fairies lived. When he got there, he wasted no time in explaining his situation to Lailura.
Has it ever crossed your mind that all of those problems can be solved in one go if I just took your eternal beauty away?
Well, of course it has. But I can't just settle for that solution. Because if a person truly loved me, then I wouldn't have to change any aspect of myself just for them.
Alright then, I have just the right solution for you. But you must be patient and you must follow all of my instructions. You must go the forest of forbidden fates. On the deepest part of the forest, you will find a very tall tower. And within that tower lies the answer to all your prayers. She is the kindest and most beautiful woman you will ever meet. But you may only see each other on the darkest time of the night. That way she won't see your face and you can be sure that she will fall in love with the person you truly are. Only after 6 months will you be able to see each other's faces under the beaming light of the full moon. And only on that night will you be allowed to bring a torch with you.
But how will I find a way if I won't be allowed to bring a torch?
If your intentions are truly what you say they are, then I have no doubt that you will be able to find a way.
Heuchler nodded thoughtfully, thanked Lailura for her time, and went on his way. After a few weeks' journey, he finally reached the forest of forbidden fates. The moment he stepped foot inside the forest's vicinity, though, Heuchler felt the very air around him change. The temperature dropped until it was close to freezing, and the darkness was so thick around him that he couldn't even see his own arms anymore when he reached them out in front of him. Still, the young prince persevered through everything and continued walking. Here, time was nothing but an abstract notion, and Heuchler could no longer tell how long he had been walking when he heard a heavenly melody in the pitch-black darkness. Stunned at the sudden interruption, but no doubt thankful for it, the young man hurriedly followed where the voice was coming from until he felt the familiar texture of bricks in front of him. He knew what this was. This was the tower that Lailura had told him about.
Hello? Is someone there?
Yes, it is I, the one and only Prince Heuchler, and I have come here to find my true love. I believe that must be you, my lady. What is your name?
Heuchler? You must be the one that Lailura sent here to save me from this horrible spell. I feel like it's been forever since I was condemned to live in this lonely tower. It's so dark and desolate here. The only one who ever visits me is the moon. Oh, of course. Where are my manners? My name is Ayofi.
Ayofi. What a wonderful name. I must confess, I am wholeheartedly enamored by your voice. Might you give me the chance to get to know you? I am absolutely certain that I would fall in love with you in no time. I don't need to see your face to know that you're a very beautiful soul.
Ever since then, Heuchler went to visit Ayofi every day while always making sure to follow all of Lailura's instructions. They talked about anything and everything they could think of. He even learned that Ayofi was cursed by a certain witch to stay in that desolate tower until she could find someone who would love her for who she truly is. And for every little detail that Heuchler learned about her, he fell even deeper in love with her. By the time that their 6 months ended, he was certain that she was the only one he wanted to marry. That fateful day, Heuchler happily made his way towards Ayofi's tower, finally allowed to bring a torch and see her face for the very first time. He also made sure to bring some people with him from the neighboring village, so that they too could all help Ayofi out of the tower once the curse was finally broken. But when they got there, he He stopped dead in his tracks when what was waiting for him by the tower's window was not the beautiful, youthful maiden he expected, but instead was a decrepit old hag slouched over while looking at him with misty eyes. Its skin was covered head to toe in warts, and its grimy long hair was almost as long as the tower. Chills traveled to his spine when he saw the sinister smile plastered on his wrinkly face. He knew now what this thing was. It was the witch that had condemned Iofi to stay in this very tower.
You monster! What have you done with Iofi? You let her out right this instant!
What? Heuchler, what are you talking about? This is me. I'm Iofi.
How dare you! You have absolutely no right to use the love of my life's beautiful voice with your chapped lips and thin mouth. You let her out right now, or there will be consequences for you. Yeah!
But Heuchler, I am only telling the truth. I really am Iofi.
But this only seemed to infuriate Heuchler even more. So with an angry shout, he threw the torch he was holding onto the tower, where it caught on the greasy ends of the girl's long hair and burst into a huge fire that quickly traveled up to her. The townspeople eagerly followed the prince's example until the witch was shouting in fear, running around. She didn't notice it when she reached the window and tumbled over the edge, eventually falling hard with a loud crack. Heuchler and the townspeople gathered around the fallen witch's corpse and grinned when they were sure she finally died. But when they went and combed every inch of the tower to look for the lovely Iofi, she was nowhere to be found. Scared and furious, Heuchler quickly made his way over to the realm of the fairies to talk to Lailura and tell her everything that happened.
What am I going to do now? Maybe the witch found out about my plans to confess my love for Iofi and move her to another place so I can never find her again. Who am I going to marry now? This is all your fault. If I didn't have to follow all your stupid rules, then maybe this wouldn't have to happen at all. What am I supposed to do now? What?
You didn't want people to judge you just for your looks, and yet you couldn't just for 1 second believe that you could love someone who didn't fit your definition of beautiful. It's like you don't even care about the fact that you just killed someone, and for what? Now you're the one who'll forever pay for what you've done. You've lost your chance at finding true love and happiness with the only person who would have accepted you for who you are. Do you know why? Because you killed her. It was you, Heuchler. You killed Iofi.
Heuchler stopped at that, his once glowing complexion suddenly turning pale and as white as a sheet, like he just spotted a ghost. Only there was no ghost, just the echo of what could have been if only he reacted differently to the situation. His hopes lay there with him on the filthy ground matted with charcoal and cinnabar. A broken and battered little soul now condemned to a lifetime of singing the serenade of sorrows that he himself hummed to life.